It is my privilege to have Desiree McCroskey share ONET and what cool things she learned. I want to tell you something. Anybody who's listening to this, I want you to know a little bit about Desiree. If you give her something to play with, she is an adult kid who wants to figure out how this thing works, what I can get out of it. And the other day, she and I are having a one-on-one, and she said, have you ever played with this thing? Do you know how cool it is? It is really cool. And so I said, would you share this with job team? So for some of us, I think this is going to be really helpful for everybody. So Desiree, it's all you. Thank you for coming in. Thanks for being part of job team, but thank you for sharing this with everybody that it will help.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks, Steve, for the opportunity. Like he said, I was just super excited. He sent me a simple email and said, like many of you, you kind of wonder if there's other roles that you should consider, and kind of in coordination with some of the other speakers that we've had in the past that have found jobs and came back and shared their journey with us. They mentioned that, yes, they set out kind of with one role in mind and then ended up finding something completely different. And so I had hit this point and mentioned to Steve, I was kind of at a regrouping and pivotal point, and wanted to know if there's some other things that I should be better aligned to. So he sent me this simple email with some awesome instructions. And I opened it up and I took the simple assessment, which I'll definitely take the time to kind of walk all of you through this. And yes, as I was looking at the different links and everything, I was just so excited and blown away at everything that this offered. Started out as an assessment, but ended up being so much more. So kind of like Steve had introed, maybe you're not really seeing those jobs that you're really wanting, or you're kind of asking yourself, like I mentioned, just is there anything else that I'd be a great fit for? Or even thinking about making a pivot, or maybe you're even considering relocating into another state. And I found that this is a great resource to look at jobs by other states as well. And so I'll definitely kind of show you all of that. Um, so before I kind of get showing you every piece of this, and actually I will open this up really fast. I'm going to share my screen and kind of walk everybody through this. Let's see. Doo -doo. Okay, don't mind my background here. There we go. All right, can everybody see my screen? Great. And then actually, before I get started, Steve was awesome and sent out our his notes last week. Did anybody take the time to take this assessment before our call today? No. Oh, awesome. Okay. I apologize. I can only see a few people. So if you did, awesome. Kind of understand a little bit what we're going through here. So when you kind of get to this page here, this is the beginning page after you click that link. And it gives you a couple of tab options here. Your overview kind of gives you a little bit of information. It is offered in English and in Spanish. The web-based is what I'm going to really walk you guys through today. The paper and pencil gives you an option if you don't want instant results. And there may be some out there. And with the paper and pencil, this is kind of one of the downloaded documents that it allows you to print off and kind of take um, paper and pencil view. And then it does give you a Spanish version here. And then an integration just kind of gives you some of the different features that are integratable, okay? All right. So when you click this link, it takes you to 30 questions. So it's not one of those long, drawn out assessments. And I will tell you, they're very interesting questions. But as you're getting ready to take the assessment, it does kind of give you, kind of sets it up for you, right? And it's just telling you to read each question carefully and try to picture yourself doing that activity. And then decide how much you'd really like to do that activity. And I thought they had some really interesting buttons here to really determine your likeliness of each of those activities. But I thought this part was really important. Do not think about the amount of education needed or how much money you'll make. That will actually come later, and I'll show you. So again, no right or wrong answers. So again, I did take the assessment this morning just to kind of get prepared for our conversation. And so this is what kicks back after you answer the 30 questions, and it kind of shows you where you scored per each of those questions. So it is going to give you your top three sections. And so again, like Steve had already mentioned in our notes, they're based around six key interest areas: realistic, investigative, artistic, social, enterprising, or conventional. So I scored highest in conventional, enterprising, and social. Okay. So once you click on each one of these, it also shares, they kind of give you a little bit of a summary, work that it involves, like to work with, and then some of you might be specifically interested in. Okay, so it does kind of give you some details each one of these sections. There's a subsection. Okay, and then down here, choose a job zone. And basically, what this job zone is depending on how much preparation you want to get ready for each of these roles. Okay, so it does break it down. 1 to 2 is very little to some job preparation. 3 is medium job preparation, 4 is high job preparation, and 5 is extensive job preparation. But then after here, and this is kind of the part that got me really excited, is after here, okay? So from here, this is what it kicks out. And then it kind of kicks out some roles here, high level roles, and then it kind of gives you a little bit of information per role here, kind of in those areas that you scored high in. And then before I kind of break down each one of these a little bit more, they have filters here. They have filters that you can go by that job zone, fit with your best interest profile, right? So when you took those questions, it kind of scored you, right? So you've got your best, good, and okay, and you can sit and kind of click, and it's going to narrow, or it's going to kind of break things out a little bit more for you. This job outlook, I thought this was even more awesome. Okay, so with the job outlook portion of this, it tells you whether those jobs are going to have, and I think it's kind of easier to explain it when I pull one open. So, for example, this broadcast announcers, radio disc jockeys, right? So, if you scroll down here, it tells you that new jobs are less likely in the future, right? So, if you're looking for that stability in a job, it's actually going to kind of show you this information. It's going to give you your average salary and then your best fit, depending on where you scored in the assessment itself. Okay. But each one of these does give you this awesome information. It tells you what education you might need for that, right? Um, and then just some additional information on the job you would, just kind of what to keep in mind. And then this full career report and find jobs. I'm going to go into this just in 1 second because that even blows up even more. Got me really excited. Um, but when we go to this filters, I mean, it goes job outlook and then your salary. So you can see here and play. And like I said, it is going to kind of minimize. I'm going to grow for you. It just all kind of depends on what you're looking for, right? And then your sort feature here, you can look by the career name, the job outlook, is this middle section, okay, and then your salary. So you can sort it by whatever works for you. So with this administrative services, I'm going to use this as an example here, okay? Um, this full career report. This was awesome too, okay? So I'm going to go through this. So it gives you knowledge that you'll want, that's involved in these particular roles, the skills that you'll use, the abilities that you'll want or that you'll have for that, okay? Personality, the kind of personality that you want for these particular roles, the technology that you'll end up using. education. Okay. So some of these ones down here, you can click all of these links, find training, again, specific to the state we're in. And I was kind of prepping for our conversation today. So I went by New York based off of one of the jobs I was looking at, but see if it's going to kick it out for us here. Yep. So then it actually gives you programs and schools and how many graduates per those programs. I thought that was really interesting. Um, so then find certification, apprenticeships. Okay. This one, again, apprenticeships that are per each of those categories. Okay. And then right here, we've got our job outlook. So these are just the highs and lows of the salary. And you can actually change this by state. So in orange, these are states that have a lot of these jobs, right? So that's your orange, your blue are below average in the state, and your whites are unknown. So you really don't know what that looks like in those states, okay? So that's why I kind of picked New York. Um, and then they just have tons of other hyperlinks. There's so much more with this tool than just that assessment, and it really helps you dig in, okay? But at the bottom of this particular link right here at the bottom, job outlook. This is another part that got me really excited. Is again, we can go by state. And again, the reason I went New York is because that this particular field is high in that state. So I want to kind of look at what that looked like, right? But this is another piece. This is another job resource look for everybody, okay? So this, when you click, you can these you can sort this different ways. You can sort by the most recent that have been posted. You can go title and company, and then the location. You can sit and sort it so many different ways. This link up here, find more openings at Career One Stop, is actually ZipRecruiter. But if you click on one of these, it does give you the details for that job, and then it allows you to apply for that job from here. I will tell you when you click the apply for job, it does kick you and you do apply for them out of Department of Workforce Services. When you actually apply for these jobs, it is from that site. But again, I did kind of pull up a couple of different ones. So I scored kind of high in the meeting, convention, and event planners, and this is actually outside of the scope I was even considering in the last. Um, of my career search journey, I had not. It was a part of my role, not my last job, but the job before, just event planning. And so when I came across this one, this got me really excited. And I did. I actually did apply for a job from here. I will tell you from this page, some of these buttons here at the top, this home button will take you back to the assessment. The search button actually allows you to search specifically by a specific job role, industries by a particular industry, and interests. Oh, this one is the one that kind of takes you back to the assessment. So then it kind of kicks you back all the way to the assessment. But a couple that I did find, I was thinking of Tammy. This one especially got me really excited for Tammy, was specific to the bookkeeping, accounting, and auditing clerk. I was like, this is a great resource for specifically Tammy. Um, Advertising and promotion managers. And again, I did this specific to New York jobs because, kind of like I said in that map, it highlighted that New York was one of those states that there were a lot of industries and openings in that state. So, and then back to the administrative services. So at this point, I just went kind of high level. Does anybody have any questions about this?
I just have one quick question. I looked down really quick. I was writing notes. Can you show me how you got to the map?
Yes. Let
Thank
me
you.
see. You're very welcome. Full career report. So after you take the assessment, it's going to kick you to those jobs per your top three. And actually, I think that's another great question. I did also want to share, even though you score high in those top three, there was a feature here that you can actually look at roles under all of them. Let me see if I can find it really fast. Mm, I'll find it. But so to your question, full report. So it's this full career report, and it's at the bottom under that section. So if you're looking all the way down here, it was check out my state, and then boom. So you can kind of search by states that have higher than average
And you're
roles there.
and you're North Carolina, right?
I am, yes. But I'm really interested this part because I've done mostly remote the past, I don't know, 7 years. And I've taken the test or the assessment, and I am finding a lot more of the remote roles, because I am pivoting a little bit, like you said. Desiree, I've kind of seen where my Lean Six Sigma black belt is. I mean, it's industry wide, but I'm pivoting also to executive assistant roles, and I'm seeing more remote jobs that are not just in North Carolina. So I'm kind of seeing what you're seeing, and I'm having to look at remote jobs in other states, basically. So I wanted to see how to get to this screen with the map.
Absolutely. And I apologize. I didn't look too much more down into it. But again, a national outlook, they're saying from a national standpoint that it is a bright opportunity, very likely in the future. So that is a growing role. So I think there's just so much
Yeah.
information that everybody can find here. Again, I was so excited about this tool. Like Steve mentioned, I just get really curious and really excited to try all of the buttons and dig in where I can. So
Thank you. Thank
you're
you.
welcome. Um, like I said, though, there was an area here. Oh, let me see if I can move this little dashboard here. Because I do believe, oh, there was another way that you could look under all of these. So under all of these, the six sections that they mention, you can actually, oh, see, it's not. So if we go our overview here, so when I mention these six, there is a spot in there that even though you score high under the three, there are ways to look at jobs under each one of these if you were interested in looking at jobs in any of the subsections. So just know, keep playing with it. There's a lot that you can do here. But yeah, I just thought it was a super exciting tool to kind of give you so much. Any other questions or ideas? Anybody that even tried it out and maybe found some stuff that I didn't point out? Anybody else?
I can't say I have. You're making me want to go play around more because I feel like I did the assessment. And Steve, you can help me here. I met with Carla last week and she sent me, like, I did this small assessment, then I did like the more lengthier, is like a 60 question assessment, and met with Carla last week and she walked me through it, and she emailed me my full assessment. So you're making me want to go take at least an hour and just play around a little bit more.
Like
I
I said, oh, go ahead. Sorry, Steve.
no, no, go ahead, and I'll wait till you're
No,
done.
I was just going to say that, like I said, I had mentioned the event planning. It was something that I did as part of my role at my job that I was at for 13 years, and it got me really excited at something that I didn't even consider before. And so I was really I had a lot of skills to that. And so, yeah, I again just kind of watch these boards refresh. So, for example, this accounting and bookkeeping one that I had open for Tammy, because when I was showing him, I actually pulled this one. I was like, oh, and I thought of Tammy with this. So again, I just like refreshed every so often, and it just kind of kept my page for me too. So just new roles that come in, and again, I thought it was exciting. Back to you, Steve. Sorry.
No, I just gonna make a comment. So, let's see if I can see everybody here. Can you quit full screen for a quick sec? And
Yeah.
okay, so I'm gonna look for maybe a raise of hands because assessments are very interesting. And as I told Desiree, and I tell everybody, take this on your best day. If you're having a one of those days that job seeking has with you, and it's kind of that issue. But I think think Sean. I don't know if Sean took an assessment. I know. I think Kaylin has just recently took it. I'm just seeing who else there is that might have taken one. I think Tiffany just met with Carla. You know, Carla has a short time to meet with you, and I like the fact that we have time to spend more time talking about this. I think what assessments do, they do one of two things. They either confirm what we already know about ourselves and what's a great fit for us, and sometimes it opens up a door for something else for us to look at and explore. It doesn't mean that that's what we should be doing, but I think it really helps. And as a career coach, I always want to know if I'm not a aerospace engineer and I'm very specific about just that, what other areas can I do? Especially if there aren't as many jobs for what I used to do. There aren't as many jobs, but where do my skills and talents do that? So I like this, and I like the fact that this is universal. So, I'm looking at our link, are looking at our Zoom, and I've got, Kevin. He's up there in Pennsylvania. Tiffany, you're in North Carolina, and then I've got Sean up there in Montana, and I think this helps. What I guess my question for anybody who's played with this, or even just Desiree, are you finding more jobs than you found before by using this tool that we're on, like this screen right now?
Actually, the thing is I didn't find any of the client facing roles. It didn't group by the client facing roles that I would find in LinkedIn myself. But like I said, it did kind of give me some other options to actually consider. So just another resource. I felt like it's just even another resource when we think about using LinkedIn and Indeed, and Glassdoor. I mean, the plethora of them out there. I just thought it was just another good resource to consider myself.
I agree. I agree. So, questions. Who has questions?
Oh, Roger, we'll start with Roger.
Yeah, I have a question. Did you research it out and find if any of these jobs you found out here were not in LinkedIn or ZipRecruiter or and Indeed, any of those top job posting sites?
I did not. No, I did not go that far. I think that's a great question, Roger. And I did kind of think about that yesterday and then got caught up in something else. So I think it's a really good question. I mean, and actually, because it has you applying for it through the Department of Workforce Services, I think there's a high probability it's in there as well.
I suppose that they're maybe using workforce services as a reference to build up these positions as well. So
I think it's a big possibility.
So ONET is the Department of Labor. So if
Okay.
that helps you, years ago, a long, long time ago, how we all have our little teeny our wall of fame. I did something for the Department of Labor, and they sent me this, so I kept it. And there's ONET at the bottom. So there, it's the
Nice.
Department of Labor, but I didn't realize ONET has a lot more to offer than even what we're looking at today. Today we're just looking at assessment. Um, One of the pages that Desiree showed us showed different things like knowledge, skills, and ability. Maybe anybody but Larry has you ever heard that word, those words? It's known in the federal um, jobs as KSAs. Has anybody heard that before? KSAs.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
So KSA stands for knowledge, skills, and abilities. And if you ever are applying with like a federal job, it'll say you must be able to demonstrate the following KSAs, and they would be sentences. So the page that she showed us a few minutes ago was ONET, and ONET is think of it as the Indeed or LinkedIn for all federal jobs, whether that's a military base, any military, IRS, Forest Service, Social Security, that's where all those jobs are posted. So if you're ever looking at
Yes.
federal jobs, up until maybe about a year ago, I would say when somebody asks about security, what would I tell you? We'll get a federal job. It doesn't pay as much, but it's pretty secure. Last year was a little bit rocky on that. So, and then, if you're looking for stability, again, they always or don't pay as high as the public sector, but state, federal, and maybe county and city jobs. Once you get in with them and usually they have a great retirement plan. They have lots of time off, but sometimes it pays a little bit less. I know Sean's looking at one. I don't know if it's with the state, but it's when you get injured, workers'
It's
comp.
with the state. It's a
Oh,
claims.
hey.
Yeah.
And it I think it can be remote, but he can't work outside the state remote.
That is correct.
Interesting.
So Larry, is your hand up?
Yes,
Are you just giving us a high five?
my hand's up. I heard a vicious rumor the other day that the government has okayed for places just like Hill to start hiring again.
Wow.
Okay.
Good to
So,
So
so
let's
you know,
talk.
guys.
Let's talk about Hill Air Force Base. If you're at Hill Air Force Base, you're considered a civilian, or any federal job. What does anybody know any advantages besides typical security, decent benefits, retirement? Anybody know any of the other benefits? Okay. But there's one major benefit. Think of that as you're in this umbrella, and once you're in there, when the jobs are posted, you have first options over anybody before it ever hits the outside. You remember how we always hear about, oh, they hired somebody within. They hired somebody who works here. I was meeting with somebody this last week, and he said, "Yeah, my son was on the Sentinel project, and he just sat there and really didn't do anything. And he wanted to use his IT background, and he ended up moving to a different department, and now he's loving his job. And I think he told me that his son and possibly girlfriend are going to move to a different state, and they can transfer as long as there's a base there."
Yep,
So
that's
another
true.
thing, mobility. So a lot of people, maybe one spouse is moving, or a partner is moving someplace, and as long as there's a base, they can transfer to that base. So, all right. Questions? You got any more questions for Desiree? I know she's good, but I know she sparks a lot of curiosity. Any more
So,
curiosity questions?
and Jason, I saw you kind of raise your hand. Did you still have a question or a thought you wanted to add to this?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, so when you took the assessment and you were talking about customer facing jobs, did did it show you that that's something that is still good for you, or were you surprised by the results, I guess is really the question.
Well, I kind of actually stuffed it under. I think that where it kind of took me was more of like the administrative services. So it did, let me find my tab here. Yeah, so right here. Sorry, I just opened up my screen a little bit so I could see raise of hands. So it did still show somewhat of a bright right here. So this one right here, it did still show a bright outlook, but I just kind of felt like it was kind of piled up under this administrative services. So yes, it didn't call it out the same as like LinkedIn, like customer success manager,
Right.
implementation managers, things of that nature. So it did still show a bright outlook. But yeah, I thought that was a great feature all by itself, that letting you know that hey, there's some stability there, or hey, you probably should consider something else. So
Right. Yeah. Because like say DJ did well, that when I took it, I was surprised about the things that it was highlighting as, oh, you could do this. Stuff I'd never considered before. But there was and there was a lot of gray clouds on the job job outlook, but interesting ones.
Yeah, no, I agree. When I was kind of looking down this particular section all by itself, which I really do want to show you dang it. Like I said, it kind of let me kind of move around, right? But yes, to your point, I mean, there were a lot of interesting disc jockeys, right?
Right.
Editors, um, but eligibility interviewers, government programs, that was another one. Um, Film and video editors, because part of those 30 questions, it did kind of ask you if you'd be interested in writing screenplays, things like that. So I found even some of the questions very interesting all by itself. I mean, but it does go alphabetically here. Lodging managers, marketing managers, media programming directors. I mean, I just felt like they kind of opened this broader picture of so many. Um, but yeah, I thought all the information underneath it was just super awesome. I was like, hey, this is definitely a great resource. So
Yeah, I
that was
saved
just my own.
everything as PDFs, and so I don't got all that interactive that you're doing right now. Um, but yeah, it did save. You can save it out just so you can reference it back again.
Right.
Um,
And I'm like you, Jason. I actually like to save everything. I like copied and pasted things to like a Google Doc and it's just
well,
super curious.
it lets you export it. I mean,
Yes,
it wasn't just that, and so it's got some of the nice graphics. It's just not a lot of um, links to click on. Um,
right.
yeah, a photonics engineer, whatever that is.
Did you look at what is that? Because now you've got me intrigued.
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
Um, yeah, archaeologist. Yeah, it could be Indiana Jones.
That's
That
what I was
sounds
gonna
cool.
say. Hey, Indiana Jones always made it look awesome.
All
So
right.
why not? And actually, I may have a connection there. I'll be honest with you. I have it. One of my connections. He actually was took his parents to Egypt for like a vacation before they had passed away. And when he showed up there, he knew someone that was actually doing a dig site there, and they actually let them spend a whole day
Oh,
digging
very
at
cool.
this. Yeah. So
Yeah, it's not too good on the money though. Uh,
it's kind of like teaching, right? You have to
yeah,
actually love what you do.
yeah, that's the real magic anyway for a good job.
Right? That's what you want to love what you do, so it's not like working ever, right?
Right.
That's what they say. Well, thank you. Thank you for looking into it, Jason.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like I say, it was very interesting. I was surprised by that. Um, the the diversity in particular of the things that it said you might like. There's a lot of stuff I had never considered before.
No. And the role that I've been looking for, like the customer success, is really oversaturated. Every time I go to apply for them, like you have to apply within like if it's a really good opportunity, you have to apply with for those jobs like within the first, I'd say 6 hours of posting, or they have over 100 applicants. It's just super oversaturated. So again, when I found this resource and then the whole event planning option, I actually did apply for one of those jobs like right away. I was just like super excited. I was like, oh, actually, I'd really love to do that. So I think there's a lot of things that you can consider through here. If you think
Yeah.
of some things that brought you joy at one point in your life, that maybe you'd reconsider that role again.
Okay.
Yeah, and just for the people that didn't take it, it was kind of it felt like a word association test. Um, because you just, short little quick questions, and I didn't spend a lot of time thinking about each one because that's the way I kind of read that. And the instruction is just, don't dwell on it. Um, get your gut. And
And I thought they were like even they were questions I had never seen before
right.
myself. Like what was another one? Coloring stage props. I was like, thinking about that, that could actually be pretty cool, It's just things to consider, right?
Right.
Well,
Anybody else?
okay. Well, thank you again, Steve, and the team for allowing me a few minutes to kind of share with you guys another resource. So definitely hold on to that link. If you haven't tried it, definitely consider it. Like I said, it's just another quick resource to kind of help you look for some other jobs. So thank you again, Steve.
Thank you, Desiree. This is Desiree McCroskey, and this was all about assessments and ONET.